Hi, I'm Justin Jensen, and welcome to my channel. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and may fall again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming. Teddy Roosevelt. Can you hear me? There we go. Hello. Thank you for being here. Got a lot to talk about this morning. I am in a corner at work. Hope everyone is good. Thank you so much for joining me. I don't have the fancy lights and stuff, so here at least. But nonetheless, we can get stuff done, right? It's great to see everyone. Thank you all so much for joining me so early on this Monday morning. I mean, we are almost halfway through January. It won't be long. Just a few more days and we'll be halfway through January. It's crazy. Hope everybody is well this morning. Talking about Idaho. We are also talking about AnaWalshe. Walshe, rather, her husband was arrested, which, I think for those of you that have been following this case, it's really no surprise to a lot of us. Whenever you're not seen leaving your home and you have a garage and your husband could have backed up there, put something in, and then you're not seen at the airport. A lot is happening, right? So we're going to cover that very quickly before we start talking about the Idaho 4. Got a lot to cover there. 25 feet, 14 minutes, 4 lives gone is what I titled this. Why Dylan isn't involved, why I believe she's not involved, and of course AnaWalshe's husband. We're going to let me play this. AnaWalshe husband arrested in Cohasset. Yeah, here we go.
Good morning, Doug. Brian Walsh spent overnight inside Cohasset Police Department behind us, but as you said, he is expected to be arraigned in Quincy District Court sometime later this morning. Now, only 5 Investigative cameras were here yesterday afternoon when the 46-year-old husband of AnaWalshe was brought into custody by police. He's charged with misleading a police investigation. Also, a gray Volvo registered to the Walsh family was also impounded by Cohasset police. Meanwhile, investigators were seen using protective booties and taking boxes out of the Walsh home located on Route 3A in Cohasset. Neighbors tell us the 3 Walsh children were removed from the home early on Sunday morning. They're hoping the 39-year-old mother who's been missing since New Year's Day will make it home to see her young kids.
I hope there's enough media interest and subscription base to allow people to kind of dig into it.
Now, this weekend, Massachusetts State Police and Cohasset detectives spent time in the nation's capital. That's a city where AnaWalshe lived and worked during the week and the location she was heading to before she went missing on New Year's Day. Live in Cohasset, I'm Ted Wayman, WCVB News Center 5.
So there we have it. She still has not been found. He had court this morning. I'm not sure if he has had his court this morning. Investigators, they pulled a warrant yesterday at his home, and I know he had some court this morning. She worked in DC during the week. They were, I would say, not upper class, but upper middle class. Investigators showed up Sunday with shovels in their hand as part of the search. And they were also seen carrying boxes of evidence from inside the house. In 2018, Brian Walshe, which is Anna's husband, he was charged with fraud in U.S. District Court after he allegedly sold 2 fake Andy Warhol paintings. Now, there is this alleged voicemail that Brian left for a friend of his wife. The friend, she lives in DC where Anna works, and said the voicemail was left Wednesday. That is the same day she was reported missing to the authorities, to police. And it says, "Good afternoon. This is Brian Walshe. I hope all is going well. I was just reaching out to basically everybody I could, and Anna hasn't been in touch for a few days," Brian Walshe said in the voicemail. "If you know anyone that may have had contact with her, I'm trying to call everyone. I am sorry to bother you." That's a weird thing to say. "I'm sure everything is fine." And that is what he said during that voicemail. They do have 3 young children, which is what really makes it sad, in my opinion. So I don't know. I guess his family has, I don't know which side of the family has the kids right now. Let's see here. And Peter Kirby, he friend of the Walshe, he says Brian's arrest and the ongoing search suspect is what his friend said. And he says that he's known Brian for years. His biggest fear is Anna is gone. And yeah, he was arrested this morning. I'm cutting out. Hold on 1 second. Let me fix something. Okay, is that better now? I pray it's better. Brian Walshe, which is another Brian. How many Brians does it take? Question, is anybody named Brian in this chat, or is anybody married to a Brian? Let me know. Is anyone married to a Brian? Because this, it's like, damn. This is Brian Walshe, and he is married to this beauty, AnaWalshe. Not married, and my name's not Brian. Perfect. Can you? I am engaged to a Brian. Robin, God bless you. God bless you. Just make sure they keep the life insurance policy low. You know, that's what I joke with my husband. Of course, I'm joking, but I'm always like, you know, when he says something silly, I'm like, yep, I'm going to up that policy right now. I'll be filing my nails. Brian is the new Karen. Yeah. You're such a Brian. I have an uncle named Brian who's very strange and reclusive. Tiffany, you're not the only one that says that. A lot of people say, like, they're like, I got a family member named Brian, and he's just weird, you know, if you get your CP. Brian has always been one of my favorite names. Well, I'm telling you, something's up with these Brians lately. It's like Brians have not been fashionable for the last 3 years or so, right? How long is it? Or a couple of years at least. I don't know. But got a lot to talk about. She is still missing. He was arrested yesterday. The neighbor and friend says that, you know, because they didn't find anything, he was worried about Brian being a target, which obviously they have enough probable cause to arrest him. That should be coming out very soon. And they don't have her body, you know, and it's pretty safe to assume that they believe she is dead to arrest him, right? Hey, Brian was a bully toward me in grade school. I'm sorry. I know 2 Brians, both very weird. I don't know. We don't like bullies around here. We don't do bullies at all. Just be good to everyone. Oh, they I have it where they also, I'll show you this before we start with Idaho, because we got a lot to talk about there. Lisa. You know, a nice 2-car garage, nice Volvo in the, you know, yard, and husband's arrested. They have been digging up her yard, everything around it. So, you know, it's really sad for the kids. They've got 3 kids, guys. That light's going to blind you guys, I'm afraid. Brian Walshe has a big old head. I do too. I have a big ass head. It's the end times. Evil is taking over. You're not wrong about that. That's all I'll say about that. All right, guys. So, I was in a chat room this morning, and there was a heated, when I came in, you could tell it was kind of a heated debate going on. that, talking about Dylan, I know people have a humongous feeling toward, what they believe should have happened with Dylan. And I get that. And I understand. I want to be first and foremost, I understand the questioning. But what was he burned at the other house? Well, it's just so happens, going back to that, their old house caught on fire. I don't know. They said it's not related, but I don't know. I understand that being in our position, looking at the affidavit, by what it says, we think, how in the hell could someone just not pick up the phone and call? I get it. But that is us sitting here comfortably in our rooms making a judgment, which is all it is a judgment. We don't know until we are in someone else's shoes. Now, people were saying that, even to the effect of Dylan could even be involved. And I think that is hogwash. There is no evidence for that whatsoever. And even if they're saying, even if, Dylan would have known Brian or anything. And this is my question, and this is my point that I want to make. If Dylan would have known Brian, do you think he would have sat and stalked them at all hours of the night and the morning outside of their apartment? No, he wouldn't have. He wouldn't have. If you are, involved with someone, if you know someone, you're not going to sit there and stalk someone outside of their home. Why would Dylan identify him? What do you mean by identify him? Him and him alone was done. Yes, absolutely. Him and him alone. She's the eyewitness. Thank you, Stacy. I appreciate your super chat. I agree. I don't think she was involved whatsoever. And thank you, April, for that disclaimer. She was an eyewitness. Read her. She is so important. We have the whole story, and I am disturbed that law enforcement is letting the narrative ramp up. Megan, the problem is that law enforcement cannot say anything. Hey, Jackie, good to see you. Law enforcement cannot say anything. There is nothing that law enforcement can say. There is a gag order. And that really sucks for us right now as part of the public. Justin, don't you think if she was in with him, she would have just said she didn't see anyone? Potential that, yeah, that's a point too. I mean, that's a point too. But I think, if that's exactly right. I mean, if she was involved with him, if she thought someone was being, 4 lives in 15 minutes were being murdered upstairs and in the same floor that she was at, I don't think she wouldn't have identified someone, or a partial identification, one, and B, and if she knew him, he wouldn't be sitting outside of the house for weeks on end. Hey, Edith, good to see you, honey. Hi, my question is, I think the roommate not call 911 because she know boogeyman, the girl have evil. Martina, no. go back to the thing that I just said. If she knew him, she wouldn't have said, she wouldn't have described him. If she was involved with him, he would not be sitting out all hours of the night stalking them. And see, he's a creeper anyways. She saw someone, what he was wearing. Yes. And I'll be honest with you, people's like, oh, well, he was probably exhausted. He probably couldn't have killed another person. Probably just couldn't kill another person. I'm thinking, let me tell you something. If you just kill 4 people and there's a human in front of you that can be a witness and you see them and you leave them, you study criminals. That's what you went to school for. That's what you're going to school for. That's what you have an office for. That's what you're teaching. It might be part of the hunt for him. So you think Dylan would just say, yeah, let's go ahead and sit out there and hunt? I mean, I have never heard of a story like that. I just haven't. We're going to play this.
The first thing I want to ask you that has a lot of people puzzled is this surviving roommate who apparently saw the killer walk by. Do you think the killer saw her? And if so, why may he have spared her life?
Well, it's a great question, Brian. And I think he did see her, but looking at the affidavit with the phone records and where he was, I think he had a certain plan. There was a plan in place that he had for this house. So he was executing a plan as he thought it was going to go in his mind. Now, all of the times that people do this, things go wrong. He might have only planned on 2 victims and it turned out to be 4. I think that the rage that he had that was building in the days and weeks leading up to the murders, I think all came out. And I think the opposite side of that rage is an adrenaline crash. And I think that after the 4th victim, it's entirely possible he crashed. He was simply so exhausted. And then you get kind of tunnel vision. He was looking to get out of that house as quickly as he could. And the other 2 people downstairs were not part of his plan. And so he walked right by her to get out of the house. So I think it's entirely possible he was simply too exhausted and it wasn't part of the plan that he.
Now, also remember, Dylan's doorway kind of sits back like a foot or 2, the room itself. Maybe she had her lights off. And, also sometimes if you're standing in if you're in a dark area or if you're in a lighted area and a room is dark from the inside, you can see them out there, but they can't see you, right? So, and also, I don't think he was looking for anybody else. He was just ready to get out that door. Thank you, Sherry. I'm sorry I'm late. Who was the guy being arrested getting out of the car, please? Okay, his name is also Brian, and he got arrested for his wife. They have 3 kids together, and he was arrested last night, and he has a court appearance this morning. His name is Brian Walshe, BrianWalsh with an E, and AnaWalshe is his wife. 3 kids together. She works in DC during the week. And a lot of people work in DC during the week. Like I said, my husband works in DC 3 days a week, so he's in DC a lot as well. And they'll travel back or whatever. So She's still missing. They have not found anything at this point. What do you call a chicken staring at a bowl of lettuce? A chicken sees a salad. A chicken sees a salad. That's funny. Adrenaline can also give you tunnel vision. Absolutely. Absolutely. But this is what, yeah, adrenaline can, and we don't know. And there was a comment that
He had envisioned.
Okay, this wasn't it. Well, that was one of the things I wanted to show you, but that a guy gave an example of how common this actually is when these people go into a state of shock, or some people literally like run towards the killer, and rather than runs away. It's the human psyche does incredible things. I mean, have you ever been so upset, or name an emotion, an extreme emotion that you've almost felt like out of body experience? That could have happened as well. Let me see if I got it here. I'm sure I do. Pretend. It might be under. We're going to talk also about some traits of serial killers today. We're also going to be talking about a road trip. Brian took a little detour during what all was going on. And a lot of Brian's friends have been speaking out on social media as well, talking about.
Let's bring in former FBI Special Agent Jonathan T. Gilliam. Jonathan, great to have you. All signs increasingly pointing to the husband. What's your take?
Oh, hold on. Let me fast forward it.
Well, I think regardless.
She'll say they're puzzled as to why the survivor maybe called the authorities. 21 years old. It was late. Thoughts on the back end. Let's talk about DM, Dylan Mortensen, the roommate who called the authorities. 21 years old. It was late. She was possibly under the influence when face-to-face with a stranger in black just feet away, froze due to fear, and locked herself in her bedroom. Coffin Daffer says she believes she passed out from trauma, fear, and stress. Says, quote, "To think you could be killed is gripping, I know." Why do you think the roommate didn't call for 8 hours?
I think she probably went back into her room and was so frozen with fear. I'm not sure if she was intoxicated. I'm pretty sure that the rest of the house was. And regardless whether she was or not, she probably sat there until she fell asleep. And as crazy as that sounds, it happens a lot. I talked to 3 people in the last week alone who had break-ins and ran. One person actually ran towards the attackers and hid in a corner, and the other people froze. And in some cases, as many as 4 to 5 hours passed before they realized they had been huddled in the same spot. So this is not uncommon.
And I think we have to realize we don't know what we would do in that situation because most of us have not been in that situation. Meantime, some people online saying Kohberger actually attended a vigil for the victims. Would you be surprised by that?
Okay, that's a crock of crap. He never did attend the vigil that anyone has ever showed an actual proof of that. So don't believe that he, at least he was in the, like inside of that. I may do that, Amy. I may do that. Thank you. So, people do different things for different reasons. A lot of people, whenever their blood pressure can go up so fast, or it can actually bottom, and they can pass out over extreme types of stress. Also, you have to understand she was probably drinking as well. And when you're drinking, your judgment lapses, but also when you're drinking and something like this happens, it's, it's not a good scenario. Now, another reason why, which I'm going to go in deeper later, but they still have not released the 911 call. And, it makes me wonder if there is more on that 911 call that maybe they just don't want us to know at the time, prosecutors. Maybe there's something on it. Who knows? Maybe the killer, he showed up, he was wanting to see all around the crime scene, just like Brian. A lot of killers, after someone is murdered or whatever, they want to be around that area that they can see, no matter how sick it is. It's true. Someone knock on their door and say and see trauma of someone hurting and someone in panic and someone in grief. So these things happen a lot. Now I'm going to show you crapiola. Let me see here. Okay. Affidavit. This is 12:36 p.m. This cell phone shows it is near Kate's Cup of Joe coffee stand in Clarkson. Surveillance footage from the nearby chef store shows a white Elantra driving past the coffee stand. Now, we know that Brian took this excursion, if you will. I believe that is where he dumped the knife. In the beginning, I kind of thought, nope, he kept this knife. This knife was very, very special to him. But the more after this affidavit comes out, I think he got rid of it. He may have pictures of the knife, maybe even video, who knows, so he can fantasize about this knife. But I don't believe he has the knife now. I believe he got rid of it. So let's look. Well, maybe my slide is not working. Okay, we'll just do it like this then. So this is Kate's Cup of Joe right here, right? See, and we have Brian seen, in this area, according to the affidavit, right? This area. Premier RV Resort, Holiday Inn Clarkson, Lewiston, and IHG Portaway Drive here, right? So he's right around this coffee shop. Now, I'm going to show you what's right here. Oh, look. Look. A river. Right? I don't know if it's a river or I think it's a Snake River. Yes, guys, please get those thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Come on. My email. The mods will drop it for you, LC. Thank you. And, he has no really business going to this city. He has the Ted Bundy's River. Yep. So, it makes you wonder, in my opinion, if this knife, if any evidence is right here. Okay, Elsie, thank you. I do believe I don't think that this knife will ever be found, to be quite honest with you. I think it's highly unlikely. Yes, the Snake River, which is very close to Michael Vaughn's house, their parents' house as well. It's just right in their backyard, as they live in Idaho too. So much stuff going on in Idaho. You know, we got the Lori Vallow, Michael Vaughn, and now this. So that's I don't know. ICU was telling me the other day, I think with Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell, the Idaho 4, which is Brian, and potentially if anyone gets the death sentence, if the people that gets the death sentence in Michael Vaughn's, if that ends up going further, that could be like 5 or 6 people that could potentially get, maybe even more, that could get the death sentence in Idaho in 3 cases. That would be absolutely crazy. How deep is that river? Anyone know? I have no idea. All I know is it is very a windy river. I guess that's why they call it the Snake River, I guess. Okay, Elsie, thank you so much. We'll look at that. And this is 11/22. Here's a picture of 11/22, right? It's a close up. And here is a photo of next door. I mean, that's a very close proximity, right? It's not far at all between these two. And about that recording, I'm going to say it's not real because it's not been verified by anyone. It's not been verified by law enforcement. The neighbors who had the recording hasn't said anything. 16 feet deep, dodging bullets. Wow. Okay. Yes, Elsie, Idaho does have a lot going on. The camera video is fake, already debunked. Thank you. But if she does have a Ring doorbell, I'm sure she's given it to authorities. And going back to Dylan, it says the call was made from Dylan's phone, which we knew that it said from one of the survivors inside the home. We didn't know if it was Dylan or the other girl's phone, but it was one of the two. But a male friend, also a fraternity brother, is one who spoke to 911. Dylan actually fainted outside in the front yard. So he took the phone. He has not been in the house. He was not in the house yet. So that is why initially 911 call stated that a person outside passed out. At the time, he did not know what had happened from the inside. So there's that. Here, let me look at this email real quick and see what LC wanted us to look at here. Okay, thank you, LC. That's interesting. So this is a video of the route in Clarkston, Albertson, Kate's coffee shop, and a view of how close the river is. So let's watch this.
There's Albertsons.
Thank you, Bullish.
That's river access. We have the coffee shop coming up. That's on our right. And as you notice, all that is river access. Here's the chef store, the U.S. Kitchen store, where the last ping was. There's cameras all down through here, but it looks like it might stop. Here's the coffee shop. And if you make this right here, it goes directly to the river. And then you're looking at miles and miles and miles of river. There's a park right here.
So beautiful. The mountains.
As you can see, it's always empty, very few people, and all river access. And that's the last ping that they show with Brian. Miles and miles and miles of river.
Thank you, Elsie, for sharing that. That is so interesting. And that is where they have a ping of Brian. And I'm sure Brian didn't travel all that way after, murdering, in my opinion, 4 individuals just to go get a cup of coffee. Thank you, Elsie. That's a very, very good video. So sending a let's see. Let's keep it classy, folks. I don't know what's going on, but let's keep it classy, because that's the way we do it. I really just wonder what the hell he was. I don't think he put it in like a safety deposit box at a bank there, right? I think he, in my opinion, had a plan, and I mean, they may even have him, hell, throwing it off the, into the river. You never know anymore. There's cameras around absolutely everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. And of course, 1 second, we'll play this in just 1 second. As soon as it's done, I pray they have the knife. To be quite honest with you, I don't think that they will have it. Here we go.
Back to the program. So we know the suspect was a criminal justice major. We know he was pursuing his PhD. We know that he had postings talking about he wanted to know why criminals do what they do, but who really was this suspect? So we wanted to bring in someone that knew the person in a prior life. I want to bring in someone who knew him, the suspect personally, Rich Pasqua. You worked with him for a period of time. Rich, what can you tell me about the suspect? What was he like?
He was just your average guy. I met him through some friends, and they told me that he was a little weird, and he was a little socially awkward, I guess you could say. But he wasn't a bad guy. He needed a job, so I worked at a pizza shop at that time, and they were hiring. I said, yeah, come on in and apply, and he did, and he got the job. So I worked with him for a little bit. But
I did not know that he worked for a pizza shop for a while. I did not know that.
he was quiet, though.
What
He
was
didn't ever come off
conversation like with
violent or
him?
What was that?
What was conversation like with him? Like when you talk with him at work, would he look you in your eyes? Did he have friends? Did he have a girlfriend at the time?
It was so long ago. It was like 2013, but he didn't have a girlfriend. I do remember that. And my wife went to school with him. They graduated together, and she doesn't remember him ever having a girlfriend, and I don't remember him ever having a girlfriend. And and he didn't have many friends, so he like would do anything to fit in, and would do like, you know, he just wanted to be liked by everybody. But he wasn't a bad kid. Like, you know, he was all right. And I knew his sister. I went to school with his sister, and I knew his father worked for the school, and I believe his mother did too. But his family, they were all nice people, and you know, his dad was always really nice to me, very polite. But I never thought that he would do something like that.
Good copy. So we've heard from some people that surrounded him that there may have been drug use in his life prior as well. Did you know him to use drugs or anything like that, sir?
Yeah, he did use drugs. That's how I really know him too. He was a big heroin addict, and so was I. I got 6 years clean now. I work in treatment and everything, but back then I was using, and so that's how I know for a fact he was using. I've got high with him a couple times and used with him. And I remember one night we went out and his car broke down, and his dad had to come out, and he got pretty angry because his car broke down and everything, and we couldn't get what we needed that night. And you know, I knew other people that dealt drugs, and we would deliver drugs to him a lot. And so that's when I heard about this case. I haven't heard from him in so long. And then I heard about this, and it said that he was going to college. I said, I haven't heard from him. I guess that's what he's been doing. He must have cleaned up. I know he was in and out of rehab a couple times, but he really did. He cleaned up and was going to college all these years.
Rich, I'm short on time, but I got to ask you one last question. We've heard from people that he had a track record of being inappropriate, borderline offensive to women. Did you ever see that in any of your interactions with him and interactions with women?
Not in my time knowing him. I've never seen him ever act like that towards women. I've never seen him come off that way ever towards anybody.
Yeah. Rich, thank you so much for joining the program. I'm sorry I'm short on time.
You're
Hopefully
welcome.
you'll come back.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, guys, let's get that thumbs up button on fire. Come on. Oh wow, thank you, Justifer. I've never seen this. Yeah. I never really knew that he had a pizza job either. You know, I always knew that he had the security job and that kind of thing, but I never knew that he had the pizza job. Badger question. Yeah. I mean, it's clear that he had a drug problem. By this a friend's account, he also had other friends that has done interviews talking about how you know, Brian used them so he could go get a ride for his DRUGS. And we got a new member, S. Roach. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Appreciate it, my dear. Welcome to the family. Don't seem like he was a happy person. Drug issues is something. Why and who got him hooked? He wanted to fit in. Sad. I think, good morning, Pinch. Good to see you. Oh, thank you, Elsie. Yes, guys, hit that like button, please. I'd appreciate it. You know, I don't know if that is why he did drugs, if he wanted to do drugs just to fit in, or if that is what calmed his obsessions down, calmed the inner beast inside of him, so to speak, calmed his anxiety down, because that is what heroin, pain pills, everything, it is a numbing medication. We are numbing ourselves from some pain that we are either, you know, not working through or working out at the time. Disconnecting oneself. Exactly. Drugs use was to escape his mind. Absolutely. Xana did order food. Yes, Xana did order food. She certainly did. So thank you for that video. Let me clear some of these windows here. he seemed to have a high disregard for women. And it makes you wonder why. Now, I have been told that we know that Brian was a larger dude at one point. He was 300 pounds and 6 feet tall. He's tall, so you can have a little more weight on you and you don't look, as heavy. However, he got picked on a lot by girls, and I think for some reason this affected his psyche tremendously as he grew up. Let me show you guys this. We got a new member, Lisa Marie S. Thank you, my dear. Welcome to the family. Guys, if you want to support a creator, that is the best way to do it, is just through a monthly becoming a family member. It's like 10-20 cents a day or something like that, and you can feed your favorite creators. So thank you. This was an interesting interview I saw earlier, and I want to show you guys this. CNN analyst identifies important aspect of Idaho killings that no one is talking about. Very interesting here.
Tonight, Anderson.
It's oh my God, guys! There's Harry, Prince Harry. His new book comes out tomorrow.
The Harry interview.
I want to read that. I'm going to read that.
Some of the interesting things that haven't come out in the affidavit. They're staked out in Pennsylvania at Brian Kohberger's house, at his family's house, in a very rural area. And the surveillance team that's watching from a pretty great distance sees him come out and clean the car from top to bottom, inside and out, using surgical gloves to handle items as if, the car was about to be sold almost. They see him taking out the trash at 4 o'clock in the morning, Brian Kohberger himself, and then putting it in the neighbor's bin next door. And why is he under surveillance? One, they're waiting to get probable cause to arrest him so he doesn't get away, disappear, or they don't have to find him. But more importantly, they're there to see if they can recover that abandonment sample.
Now, I want to say something here. They were watching him while he was at his parents' house. Now, this is the thing. This is where I kind of was giving the parents a benefit of the doubt, thinking, yeah, maybe they didn't really know. They knew their kid was, kind of screwy up in the head, but, I don't think they thought they killed him. However, I was thinking about this morning, actually. So, Brian's dad goes out to Washington. All of this stuff is going on. 4 murders, all of that. I know Brian's parents, they are obviously watch the media. They watch it very closely. Brian's mom has said things in different formats of media, newspapers, articles, all of that. She's very involved. I know that they are going to watch murders that has taken place down the street from where their son is living. The father goes out there. They have a long ride, days for that matter, back, right? They get pulled over twice, right? They got a long time to talk. They know, mom and dad knows that they're looking for this white car. However, I give them the benefit of the doubt, but kind of not at the same time. They say 2011 to 2013 or 2014, I can't remember, white Hyundai. But theirs is a 2015 or 2016. I can't remember if Brian's is a 2015 or 2016. I think it's 2015. But Now they're driving, they get pulled over twice. Dad's scratching his head. You know, if I'm saying if they haven't said anything, if they haven't talked about it yet, then they get home. They get home, right? And this is when authorities are watching them very closely. They see Brian, you know, go out. It's Pennsylvania. It's winter time, you know. He's got all four doors open, the trunk open, scrubbing the hell out of this car. This is not some, you know, get a wet wipe and clean the dash and the windows, right? This is hardcore, you know, scrubbing, right? And, you know, I can just see, you know, mom and dad looking through the mirror, look through the window, looking at their son. Like, oh my God, that SOB did it. If they didn't already know. They had to have suspected. Dad is maintenance, cleaning. Yeah. I don't know if it's maintenance as in cleaning or as in maintenance as in fixing. You know, maintenance can be used either direction, right? Some people say maintenance as, you know, you're like a custodian, like, you know, cleaning and everything. And then a lot of people say maintenance as in, you know, fixing the light bulbs, painting something, right? Could be dad good cleansing products. I mean, potentially. But all I can say is when he was out there scrubbing the shit out of that car, which I can tell you, there is no way in hell he got all that DNA out. Nope. I don't care how bad he scrubbed it. They will find something. They will find it. It'll be harder, but they will find that DNA if there is DNA in there. The neighbor took pics of the car and sent them to the FBI. You're talking about the neighbors in Washington, correct? Fix this, that. So, you know, that's what really bothers me. Once he is out there, you know, and it's like freaking really cold, you know, in the middle window, and you got all four doors open and the trunk open, and you're like scrubbing the hell out of it. And you know that they're looking for a white Hyundai, right? This happened 7 miles down the road. Even though it's at a different state, it still happened 7 miles down the road. Thank you, Misty. Mwah! Thank you for becoming a member. Thank you. If he gets the death penalty, his mother will become vocal since she was upset about Ted Bundy was executed. Yes, the cheering the hearse, I think it was, is the name of that. And throwing garbage away with blue gloves on. Yeah, his parents knew something. Yeah, like, you know, I mean, they knew their son was an OCD, you know, all of this, but they knew that their son had problems. I mean, you can't tell me that, you know, you're like, hey, mom and dad, listen, I refuse to eat in this house because that pot and pan has been washed 1,000 times over, and because an animal has touched that once upon a time. He's afraid he's going to get the taste of blood, which I think makes him want to become a Jeffrey Dahmer, to be quite honest with you. Yes, and he said he was going to sell it. And I think that's the story that he made up. You know what? I'm going to sell this car which in my opinion is another red flag for the parents. Oh my God, listen, my son's studying homicide. He's always been a little freak. But 7 miles down the road, 4 people were slaughtered. My husband just flew to Washington. He's going to drive literally 2,700 miles across the country. We're going to get pulled over twice. My son puts gloves on when he goes anywhere, the grocery store or anything. We got pulled over twice, and we got home. He said he wants to sell the car, so he's scrubbing the shit out of it right now. I mean, it doesn't make... I mean, you can't tell me alarm bells aren't ringing. You can't tell me it's not. I would put money on the fact that even his sister knew he had an Elantra, and I'm sure that they've been keeping up with the news and what took place with the kids in Moscow. Yes. Hope he gets kitchen duty in jail. That's hilarious. I asked my kid, why aren't you selling it in Washington? Well, I actually understand. Well, maybe I do and I don't. The car was in his mom's name. But also what I don't get, and this should have also raised a red flag, he changed it from Pennsylvania 4 days after the murders. So he knew that they were going to be looking for this license plate. They're going to they're going to search everything in Washington and everything. 4 days later. So it's not going to be right in the system yet, right? So immediately after they checked all the license plate, he changed it, and it's going to take time for it to register up in the system. But why are you changing the license to Washington when you're getting ready to sell it anyways? Makes no sense to me. Precious Chaos, my dear. Thank you. Appreciate it. Precious Chaos taught me how to use StreamYard on my first live, and I will forever be thankful for her because I had no idea what I was doing. Wasn't the Rigo due? What's that? I don't know what that means. His plates expired November 30th. I wonder if he has 2 sisters, and to be honest, guys, listen, I don't know. Like yesterday, Bullhorn Betty, after her, I think she made a video that morning. If someone told me right, that the sister was there, like at the house, and I know she made one later that yesterday evening, and it appears that it really is her sister. And that, if that really is like 1,000% sure that that is his sister at that house, that makes me sick. Absolutely sick. Yes, she was. It makes me sick. There's no way they said. Okay, I'm getting both. I don't know. Hold on. Let's look at this. Hold on. Let me finish this, and we'll go into that.
Something they threw away that would have his DNA on it, and that's why they went to the trash, collected it, and made that match that allowed the judge to okay that warrant.
The most important thing, though, is motive.
So we still don't have motive, and the clue to that is not only, Don, is it not in the affidavit, but Poppy, they came out the day they announced the arrest and said, now, who knows something about this guy who can share it with us? Because they're still trying to get into that. One other thing that nobody's talked about. Pennsylvania authorities are looking at this case that happened on the other side of the country, but saying this guy lived here. And based on the offender characteristics of a quadruple murder done with some efficiency in the dark, they don't believe that that is his first encounter with violence. Most killers don't start off with something like that.
You're
So
right.
they're going back through unsolved cases in Pennsylvania to say, what fits an MO? What fits the pattern? What fits the offender characteristics at the crime scene to see, do we have an unsolved case that fits here? Because now we have things we didn't have. We have a name, we have DNA, we have things to compare.
I don't know. I'm curious if it's possible. He told his parents he contacted law enforcement since he had a similar car and all cleared. That's a good point, Tracy. Good point. Good point. See, I don't know. Like, you know, I wonder if like he came close to hurting someone or if there was something that happened. But I don't know if he's ever killed before. I thought so, but, and thank you for that, Tracy. I really do appreciate that, by the way. Thank you. He definitely has an anger toward women. He has, he sees them as less than, to say the very least. He doesn't like, there's a lot of homophobia as well, from what I understand, and I've even heard racism to an extent. Highly intelligent. This, let me find it right here. This guy was one of Brian's kind of friends. Robert had 4 classes with Brian Kohberger at WSU, said Brian was comfortable around others, quick to offer opinions and thoughts, eager participant, appeared highly intelligent. He demanded to be, to have the attention on him, that he was the most intelligent person in the room because of his social, the only place that he felt confident in his life was in his academics, if you will. That is the only place he felt like an oddball out in every other social situation. But he demanded it. And it doesn't mean that he was necessarily the most intelligent person, but he wanted to make sure everyone in the room or the conversation knew it. Thank you, Misty. I appreciate your super sticker. Very kind of you. Thank you. Now, from what I understand, also, Brian would make everyone, like when he would explain something, he would want to explain it in the most difficult way possible. He wanted to make you feel inferior, dumb about it, or to make him look more intelligent, that he knew everything about this subject that he's trying to talk about. So give me 1 second. Maybe he thought the girls were gay too. There's a thing called gays, that women that are gay, they're called lesbians. Is there a problem? Why did the police rule out the skinned dog? Are there 2 psychos in Moscow? You know, it makes you wonder, Harry. It makes you wonder. I feel like, he has this thing. I don't believe for a second, not a second, that he, in my opinion, is a vegan because he wants to save and protect animals. To me, it is all about an anxiety for him of some sort. That is the reason. It's more of something in his psyche, not so much about hurting animals. I mean, if you care about, living creatures, all living creatures, then you can't stab 4 young people while they're, laying in their beds at night, not hurting anybody. Justin, check out For Talk platform. Brian was going back years, talks about verses in his mind. Yes. And he also has that rap video as well, which is kind of violent in itself. He doesn't eat animals as he sees them as filthy, not as equals. Potentially, but I think he sees it as more as if he becomes, if he gets the taste of meat, that he will become addicted, similar to the heroin, similar to any sort of obsession that rolls around in his head, that he feels like he has to manifest this into a compulsion to do it. You want to watch the rap video? Thank you, True Crime Obsession. We can watch the rap video. Just give me 1 second, and I'll, if you haven't heard it yet, I just need to email it to myself. It amazes me how, it seems like Brian has had an issue, an unhealthy issue with food all of his life, because when he was younger, he kind of went to food, it appears, because, his weight, he was 300 plus pounds at his largest. And, why did he go from one extreme to the next? Was he always vegan, vegetarian? Did that switch? Was he vegetarian, then vegan? Or was he always vegan? And I don't think that he was always vegan. From what people have told me, from what I've read, he was not always vegan by far. This happened somewhere around the end of high school. His friends say 11th, 12th grade, but particularly his senior year. That is when they started noticing a real change. But that is also when he started his heroin addiction as well. Yes, Brian did a rap video. We are about to premiere it here. And he can about 11 go to hell, really. Let me see here. Let's see if we can play it.
Disrupts my life, wonder.
All right. We're going to play it. Here we go. This is Brian rapping. I think it was in 2011, if I'm right.
Always the same thing that disrupts my life, wonder when I'll change. I guess when the time is right, procrastinating minds arranged to change would be a fight. So I'm pacifist, like I'm afraid to get a bloody fist. Look at this, my mind is pissed, and I keep running. Why is this? When I hit it, always leave them stunning. Always gentle giant, no defiance, all build an alliance, and still think that I am peasant. I stuck in the future, but I'm never looking at the fucking present. Keep it up, act like you're all that. Here's a cookie too and a present. Led from a desert eagle, deagles going louder than my motherfucking beagle. And you're like, you get no sequel. Leave your loved ones crying like some seagulls. You are not my equal, you are evil, but I'm feeble. And now I'm going regal. Don't fuck with us. My mind is pissed, and I keep running. Why is this? When I hit it, always leave them stunning. Always gentle giant, no defiance, all build an alliance, and still think that I am peasant. I stuck in the future, but I'm never looking at the fucking present. Keep it up, act like you're all that. Here's a cookie too and a present. Led from a desert eagle. Deagle's going louder than my motherfucking beagle. And your life, you get no sequel. Leave your loved ones crying like some seagulls. You are not my equal, you are evil, but I'm feeble. And now I'm going regal. Don't fuck with us. Hope you learned your lesson. Excellent music. Always the same thing that disrupts my life. Wonder when I'll change. I guess when the time is right. Procrastinating minds arranged to change would be a fight. So I'm pacifist, like I'm afraid to get a bloody fist. Look at this, my mind is pissed, and I keep running. Why is this? When I hit it, always leave them stunning. Always gentle giant, no defiance, all build an alliance, and still think that I am peasant. I stuck in the future, but I'm never looking at the fucking present. Keep it up, act like you're all that. Here's a cookie too and a present. Led from a desert eagle. Deagle's going louder than my motherfucking beagle. And your life, you get no sequel. Leave your loved ones crying like some seagulls. You are not my equal, you are evil, but I'm feeble. And now I'm going regal. Don't fuck with us. Hope you learned your lesson. Excellent music.
So that is No Flow. I mean, such a white boy, right? Word to the mother. Don't F with us. So in that, he writes a comment that he wants to do this as kind of a therapy. Stuck in the future, what? Yeah, ice burger. ice burger. Oh my god, that's hilarious. I don't know, it's absolutely insane, this creature, whatever the hell he is. He's evil. He has a lot of evil, to say the least. But yes, he did rap in that video. Here is Nancy Grace. I want you to see this real quick, and then I want to show you guys a guy on TikTok that I think is absolutely phenomenal. He's phenomenal, rather.
And she joins us now with a preview. Nancy Grace, thank you for being here. I want to start with the idea that one of the reports that we got is that when they went in to capture him, that he said, "Am I the only one that was arrested?" What do you make of that? And give us your analysis of this whole case and where we are today.
Well, that would suggest that there is an accomplice. I want to point out two things. This guy has got a master's degree in criminology. He's currently working on a PhD in criminal justice. Yet he drove the getaway car all the way and parked it outside of mommy's house? Are you kidding me? Another thing we know about this guy, he has been described as obsessively vegan, to the point that he made his parents get rid of their pots and pans. Oh no, the bake process in the dishwasher wasn't enough. They had to buy new pans that had never touched meat. What does that tell?
That tells us that that is extreme. I mean, you have to understand, dishwashers, they go through a sanitization process, right? I mean, it literally kills. I mean, it's sterile when it comes out. You know, if you have a dishwasher, you know how hot they get, how long they wash, everything. But that still was not good enough for him. That shows you that there is no reasoning with him in this form of obsession, of this compulsion that he has. It is a, you know, any type of obsessive compulsive disorder. You know, there's no really a reasoning. You know, if I don't do this and this and this amount of times, this will happen, something bad will happen, or something like this will happen. And for Brian, I think it is, oh, if I even if this has been sanitized 7 times over in the dishwasher, nevertheless, in my mind, that has had an animal on it, and there could be something still on there that makes me become addicted to this meat, that could give me the taste of blood, that could even result in I really think that he was afraid that he would become cannibalistic as like Dahmer or any of them would. I think it was a compulsion. It was a fear that he would do this toward other human beings.
Tell me, he is obsessive. He is fastidious. He's about 6 feet tall. He's socially awkward. He planned this whole thing out. Did you notice the charges? He didn't go in to steal. He didn't go in to rape anybody. He went into that home with the intent to kill. How long had he been watching these girls? And as we speak, Jason, they are tearing his Pullman apartment apart for any notes or writings, anything that can match him up to this murder, and I predict they will find it.
So the suspect here, I mean, the initial profile that came out, this is pretty close to the person that is the suspect at this point.
Yes, it is. From the get-go, we said a male between 25 and 38 to 40, a white male, because people normally kill within their own race, single, which he is. As a matter of fact, there's no indicia of a girlfriend, an ex, a fiance, even a high school girlfriend hasn't been dug up yet. So is this guy an incel? What was his motivation? And let me remind everybody, the state doesn't even have to prove motivation. But I can tell you, take a look at this guy. Would it surprise you to see him, that face staring in your bathroom window? Because it would not surprise me. And this is a death penalty state. 4 bodies equals the death penalty.
Well, I hope that the parents have some degree of closure and something in their heart and their family members that they get some degree of closure.
Sir. There's no such thing as closure. This guy will probably end up with a life sentence unless a jury comes to their senses and gives him the death penalty. These families, and I know as being a victim of violent crime, you get a life sentence for the rest of your life, wondering what your loved one went through at the time of their death. It will never be over for them. There is no closure for these families.
No, it's a good point. I bet. Do you believe that there is or is not somebody else out there? The police chief was asked a direct question. He didn't exactly give a totally 100% conclusive answer to that.
You're so right, Jason. He totally dodged it. Forensically, it appears that there was only one type of weapon used. So what am I supposed to think? They handed the knife off to each other? No. But could someone have been a lookout? Did someone help plan it? Possibly. But in my mind, highly doubtful.
No murder weapon at this point. What's your take on that?
I think he got rid of the weapon. I think he studied long enough, getting his master's and soon his PhD in criminology, to know to get rid of the murder weapon. Hello? But still,
put a 1 in the chat if you think he got rid of the weapon. Put a 2 in the chat if you think he still has the weapon. I personally thought in the beginning that he kept the weapon, but now, based upon the affidavit and everything, I believe that he got rid of that weapon when he was around that coffee shop right along the Snake River when he took that detour. Vet girl, you make a very good point. He wouldn't have any leather furniture, any leather seats in his car or anything. And if you're truly vegan, that's the way generally people do. They don't have any fur. Fur's not really in fashion anymore, like real fur, but they don't have anything leather, no leather seats, no leather furniture, all of that. And of course the sheath was leather. But somehow he made this, he rationalized it in his brain of some sort that it was okay with him to have this leather sheath You know, we don't know. We need to look back at that car and see if they were leather seats. That would be interesting that you say that. And Joe made a comment. He said he can't even kiss a girl who eats meat. And that made me just think, Joe, I wonder if he thought of it that way, if there was something in his mind that made him think, I can never kiss this girl or whatever because she has eaten meat. You know, she has, she's not vegetarian. Because, you know, if you can't eat off of a pan that's been clean, you certainly can you be kissing a girl or your mate, whoever, that, you know, is not vegetarian. You know, it's just it's a very interesting question that I think so leather is okay, but he's an extreme vegan. I don't know, but it is that is a, you know, that's a thought, Joe, that makes you want to go deeper into that. Shannon, I've heard about the ED thing too, but you know, to be quite honest with you, there's not very many 28-year-old men that has ED. I'm just going to tell you. And if he has a good heart, he probably doesn't have ED. I'll just say that. I think he dropped off on a long drive by the national park and buried everything at the national park. Yeah, I heard a creator come out with that. I don't think that happened. I think that when he was at this Clark place, I'll play it again here in just a moment. He dropped it off at the Snake River. We have that. We have him there, right beside, literally, of the Snake River, within literally feet. And I'll show this again. Here we go. Let me show you this. Going back to this. So at 12:36 p.m., the cell phone shows it near Kate's Cup of Joe coffee stand in Clarkson. Surveillance footage from the nearby chef's store shows a white Elantra drive past the coffee stand. We have this on video. We have him. Okay, here is the Kate's Cup of Joe, right? We have him. We literally have him right here, right? Now look beyond here. See this right here? Let's go down. This is what it continues. This is the Snake River. We have him at the Snake River. Snake River was followed in the Dylan Round case. It was in the Dylan Round case. It was also in the Michael Vaughn case, the Snake River as well. He could have bought his own pots and pans, dishes. Vegans do that by their own if they are that bothered. He just wanted to control his family. I believe it was also a form of control as well. You know, he threw a fit. I believe that he threw this in this river. I don't believe he took this big ass detour for a cup of coffee. I mean, why would you do this for a cup of coffee, right? Yeah, national park, it could be a decoy. He went somewhere else. Phone was off for 3 hours. Yes, and we have him here when that phone was off. Is it possible they already have the knife? I mean, it's possible, but I do not think that knife will ever be found. It would be probably a miracle if that knife was found. Maybe, but I think it's probably. I thought that in the beginning as well, but after I think he took something else from that home. Maybe investigators know what it is, but I think that is his trophy. Not so much the knife now. I think he knows the knife is a hot button. He needs to get rid of that knife. He's going to remember them by something that probably is not going to be missed, or you're not going to really know that it's missing. The parents wouldn't know that it's missing. Maybe investigators even wouldn't know that it's missing because there's, girls have a lot of stuff. Does that river freeze over? Don't know. Good question. Just had a thought. If he worked in a restaurant that wasn't fully vegan, how did he manage that? Good question. I think he just, made this rationale in his head somehow to make it work for him. Oops, not heart, but he will go to. Little Wing is King says, no, it doesn't freeze over. Now, I'm going to show you where we have him on camera. LC was very generous earlier, sent us this video of where Brian was and where that Snake River is and all around it. So I'm going to show you this.
There's Albertsons.
Yep. Now keep watching this.
That's river access. We have the coffee shop coming up. That's on our right. And as you notice, all that is river access. Here's the chef store, the U.S. Kitchen store, where the last ping was. There's cameras all down through here, but it looks like it might stop.
This is right where the last ping was. And as you will see, there's the coffee shop. This is right in the area where the last ping was. Now look what is coming up
here. If
here.
you make this right here, it goes directly to the river. And then you're looking at miles and miles and miles of river. There's a park right here.
It's true, Bev. Now look right up here. Watch this.
As you can see, it's always empty, very few people, and all river access. And that's the last ping that they show with Brian. Miles and miles and miles of river.
And right there is the Snake River, just right over here. And I think that maybe any type of evidence, blood, maybe clothes even, is in that river. Wonder if he had any previous pings near the river. That's a good question. It's so out of place for him. He's not from that area. He hasn't been in that area very long. I don't see. Thank you, CR, so much for your super sticker. I greatly appreciate you. Thank you so much. Tech, they don't need they don't need the murder weapon to convict someone. Absolutely not. Does it help? Yes, it does help. But they can have so much other evidence that will literally, put him away. I mean, technically, they don't even need a body. You can convict without a body, but does it help? Absolutely. It's much better to have a body to show someone's dead, but not having the murder weapon, it doesn't mean there's not going to be a conviction. Lisa Marie, thank you so much for your super sticker. It's very generous. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Bachelor in criminology with minor in digital forensics. Pings. Video cameras wouldn't something watching for 3 mod. Know where cameras are. There's lots of cameras. Lots of cameras right in that area, and they do have him there. Oh, thank you, Lisa. That's fine. Thank you, sweetheart. It's very kind. His educated and all evidence pointing to him going to be the defense. Yes, I think that is going to be his defense too, Vet Girl. Him saying, listen, I took criminal justice, right? I took criminal justice. I know better than this. I know better than that. Why would you think I would make that stupid mistake when I have an education in criminal justice? I know about these pings. I taught about these pings, but he made these mistakes, right? Now, I want to talk about there's this TikToker. He's an older gentleman. He's a doctor of some sort. I'll give you his name here in a minute. He talks about what Brian was thinking and the reason his rationale, the reason he turned off that phone or didn't turn off that phone, and his rationale behind it. But Brian forgot to talk about the other factor of thinking it all the way through. And I want to show you very interesting guy here. Thank you, Elsie, again for giving us that video. It's very kind. Here we go. Now I want you to listen to this.
Why was he so messy with the education he had? This is definitely an example of being overconfident with what you do know.
It's very low. I don't know if I mute, if it makes it better. I'm going to try. Let me know if you can hear. Why was he so messy? The question is if he, was studying criminal justice.
Why was he so messy with the education he had? This is definitely an example of being overconfident with what you do know, but not respecting or considering what you don't know. When we go to him turning his cell phone on before he got back to Pullman, he understood that police would pull a suspect list from phone data around that house around the time of the murders, and he was avoiding his phone ending up on that data. He was thinking about how to avoid becoming a suspect. What he was missing was how do you limit data if you are a suspect? So he shouldn't have turned his phone on before he got back to Pullman. He wasn't considering that as he went on. Now, when we say phone data showed that he stalked that house at least 12 times between August and the date of the murder, it's very likely that once he reached the decision point that he was going to carry out a murder, that he stalked that house a lot more, but he turned his phone off on those times later on, so those wouldn't show up. He also showed environmental ignorance. And what do I mean by that? His education was at DeSales University in Pennsylvania.
Now, listen to this. He makes a lot of good points here. Now he's going to talk about environmental ignorance and kind of the things he didn't think through. He thought he was planning something perfect, but there was also, there's a yin and a yang to things. There's a plus and a minus, and he was just not thinking about
which
it thoroughly.
Is a university of less than 2,000 people in a community of less than 15,000 people. Environment there is going to be much different than the University of Idaho, which has over 11,000 students in a community of 25,000. Washington State University, a student population of 27,000. Why is that significant? He underestimated the number of cameras that would be around that he could get picked up on in that environment, and therefore didn't think about it. Also, he drove back and forth for 3 times in the half hour before finally stopping. Why? Well, his previous stalking probably suggested that the house would be dark, the people would be asleep by 3:30. This is also environmental ignorance. I mentioned this in the very first video, that the day of the murder, University of Idaho, Big Sky Conference, Washington State University, Pac-12, both had home games that day. That changes the energy and the vibe in the downtown nightlife. It also extends student activity in after hours.
All right, he makes some great points. Let me see if I can find his channel again, because I really, really recommend watching this guy. Hold on one second, and I'll find it. He has a lot of interesting. Hopefully, some of them are louder too. Hold on one second. I forgot his name. What is his name? Damat. Give me 2 seconds. It's TikTok. Someone just said that the top 5 like killer names in the United States. One is like one of the top 5 is Justin. I'm like, oh my god, that's terrible. Hold on one second. Damn this thing.
Yeah, that's a question.
Okay, his name is. Here we go. You can follow him on Twitter. I recommend it.
A couple weeks ago, but I've got a lot of new followers, so I'll do it again. And the affidavit actually gives us some more information here, because people keep saying, how could you hear screaming and not call 911? There had to be screaming. There actually is no evidence there was any screaming. The surviving roommate did not report hearing screams. Neighbor's security camera, which actually did pick up the sound of the dog barking and what sounded like a whimpering and a thud, did not pick up any screams. There was no screaming. So how could that be? There's two factors that are probably both at work here. One is when you are actively under attack and defending yourself in that moment, the fight-flight response is putting all resources towards physically fighting off your attacker. It's shutting down anything that isn't necessary for that physical defense. That's where you get the concept of too scared to scream. Usually you've got to get some sort of distance from your attacker, some moment of opportunity before you're capable of screaming. And they didn't get that opportunity. The other one is the nature of the attack itself, the stab wounds, especially what the coroner reported, consistent among all 4 of them, was a primarily fatal wound, was a single deep wound to the chest. Even though they did have multiple other wounds. As you can imagine, you take a deep wound to the chest and you're going to be physically incapable of screaming. And if that wound is to the heart, you've got 4 to 8 seconds max before you lose consciousness. We saw that demonstrated, unfortunately, in the NFL.
4 to 8 seconds. And he's about to say about the NFL player, he stood up, he fell right back down once, and he didn't technically lose blood out of his body, right? Once you've been, especially something like a K-bar knife, you have 4 to 8 seconds of consciousness, and you are losing, strength so quickly, right? Because the blood is going. You don't have blood pumping your heart and your all your organs and your brain, of course. So very important.
NFL this week. Now, what about I keep seeing people referring to her as being frozen in fear. Did she lay in her room frozen in fear for hours? She didn't say frozen in fear. She said she was in a frozen shock phase from being startled by opening her door, not expecting to see anyone, and seeing this person go walking by. And yeah, they were dressed in black and had a mask. I've seen people say ski mask. Nothing specifies in here the mask. Could have been a cloth mask, could have been an N95 COVID mask, which wouldn't be surprising. She had no reason at that moment to think this person going by, although they startled her and maybe looked suspicious, wasn't just one of her roommate's friends who was leaving. From Kohberger's standpoint, it would make sense to wear an N95 mask because it would cover your face and it would prevent you from expelling droplets that could be detectable. I'm sure in this college town party house, they have had guests at their parties that sometimes showed up dressed in black. And then the last couple of years, probably wearing COVID masks. So just the dark dressed masked person isn't by themselves suspicious. She was getting no indicators of any murder happening in the house. She probably just went back to bed.
And that is exactly what I think. I don't think that she thought there was any, like, I thought maybe she heard some screams. I think there were screams in that house all the time. The dogs were barking, maybe, but she was asleep. She woke up. I think the guy did startle her. And maybe, you know, he didn't see her. He was on a mission. He was running out. And, you know, because if your life is under threat, never mind the 4 upstairs that has been murdered. If your direct life is under threat, it's self-preserving. You are going to call 911. You are not going to wait until 11 a.m., 12 a.m., or noon, and then, you know, find your roommates. And then, you know, I don't think that she even thought they were murdered in the beginning. I don't know. Like, I don't know what she was thinking. It's so that's why I don't, you know, want to really speculate on how she was feeling or anything. But, you know, she thought, oh, Ethan and them, you know, maybe they're passed out or something. Maybe I don't know. But something wasn't right. She called her friends. Friends, come over here. Something's not right. I don't know what it is. Something's not right. And then the friends come over. They find her, and that's when she's passed out. Or she knocks the door down or something. She finds them while the friends are already on their way over. And then that's when they take the 911 call, and they are she's literally passed out, and they call for an unconscious person. Didn't the affidavit state that he came back to the house at 9 a.m. ish? Yes. She heard crying and did nothing. Well, what she did hear was, "Don't worry, I'm going to take care of it." She also heard that. And, you know, who knows? I mean, to be quite honest with you, just to be quite honest with you, people that age all the time are constantly fighting with their boyfriends or their girlfriends or someone they know, and it happens. Yeah, I know Sylvia. I've watched him for a long time. She's dealing with so much, and now the internet is on her back. I feel for her. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, like, there was another human being that is alive in that house. We don't ever even talk about her. We don't ever even talk about her because maybe she was asleep. Was she not woken up by this? You know, why do we not talk about the other girl? Why is it just Dylan that is thrown completely under the bus by a lot of these people? You know, that doesn't even know 1/10 of what happened yet. We are judging based upon maybe 1/10 of what actually happened, and we still need 90% of what will come out in court because Dylan is a soft target. Yeah, I mean, why didn't the other roommate wake up when she heard screaming and when she heard crying? You know, why didn't she call? Why didn't this person do that? What? I mean, it's easy to say. it's easy to say, well, why didn't you? Well, I certainly would have. Let me tell you something. Find 4 of your friends gutted, and you think you're going to go to sleep? You think you're actually, if you think that girl went back to bed and 4 people was gutted upstairs, and she's like not even old enough to freaking drink, that would mean she would be just as demented as the murderer. And I do not believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a second. And I don't think it's fair that we are judging this young girl and these young survivors and shaming them because we don't know what happened. We don't know what happened. Thank you, Danielle. I think you're right about knife because Kaylee's sister said that they always wore necklaces religiously and would never take them off, and the necklace weren't found on them, so that makes them think that Brian took them. Very interesting, Danielle. Very interesting. I don't think the knife was his trophy. I think something else was. I agree. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, if she thought that person was murdering, I mean, this is the thing. You know, Brian gets, you know, he goes through that door. People are walking up and down those steps all the time. There's 3 floors. That's all you hear is people going up and down the steps. You know, Xana's getting her food, everything, going down to the kitchen, going up this, doing that. You hear that all the time. You don't think it's a murderer in your house. And then, you know, someone walks in the bedroom, you know what I mean? And they're on their phone. And by the time they look up and process what's happening to them, if they're awake, you have 4 to 8 seconds. You're not going to be like, you are going to disable them quick. You have 4 to 8 seconds. She might have heard something, and then maybe 4 to 8 seconds, it's over. And she's like, oh, okay, nothing screams all the time in this house. It's a college town. Who knows what they're doing? I mean, these girls are making videos. They're playing roles. They're doing all of this stuff. It doesn't mean... Thank you, Tracy. I think a lot of people will feel really bad attacking her when they quite possibly be the star witness and gets... Yes, that's exactly right, Tracy. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people are going to feel really bad once the 90% comes out and she can be the one that puts this asshole demon behind bars, prison, forever. I can go live for it. I was at her house yesterday, have inside info, let me know. Oh, that's awesome, 50 Shades, yes. Yeah, please. The poor girl has to live with this. I feel so bad for her. Yes, and not only that, not only feeling bad that she's had to see this and all of this, but also there's a thing called survivor's guilt even that she will have to process. I mean, what she has seen, you know, I don't think you can't convince me that that it was all up for Dylan to hear the screams and not the other girl. I mean, Dylan woke up. Why didn't the other girl wake up? Well, why didn't you wake up? Thank you, Sam Panther. Appreciate it. Thank you all for your generous donations. Listen, I'm not willing to judge or shame someone that I don't know the full story to. This is not a Leilani Simon. This is not a Don and Candace Wells. This is a girl and a group of young adults, and it's barely adults, that were living their life, and they were vibrant, and they had a lot of energy, and they were partying and drinking and getting food orders and TikToking and playing music and talking to their friends and playing with their dogs, and I don't think it's good to shame them. And listen, I have friends that totally disagree with me, and that's fine. Let them disagree with me. But I will tell you that whenever it all comes out, mark my words, clip it now. You're going to feel really horrible for throwing this young kid under the bus when she is a victim herself. And it's nothing but the grace of God that those two are alive, because instead of 4, it could have been 6. Easily 6 people. So that's all it's just not fair. It's really not fair for Dylan. And let me tell you something. Dylan and I forget the other girl's name. I've got 1,000 pictures of all of the girls. I always forget her name. I'm sorry. They loved each other. They were a family in their own right. They were a bunch of friends who came together, who rented rooms. Bethany, thank you. You start living together. You start making memories and all of that. And it is such a special time of your life to go through college, to become friends, to learn together, grow together, make mistakes together. And that's just the way it is. Maybe freezing saved her life. Absolutely. Yeah, and a victim that did nothing. And none of them did anything. And because Dylan is just herself a victim of circumstance and being honest about what she saw and about what she did, she's being literally thrown under the bus, being fed to the wolves. People's like, well, she heard a scream or something and didn't say do anything about it. Well, guess what? Maddie and Kaylee, they hadn't seen each other for a while. She was coming back. They had just got her new car. They had partying, everything. They were screaming and hollering all the time, probably that day. You've seen them all over each other at the food truck, acting silly, just laughing and giggling and doing what kids their age do. They probably was staying up all night, making plans about the future, where they were going and what they were doing. Another point, Vet Girl, she would not be charged for not reporting a crime in time. Do you not think that these 2 girls, you have 4 bodies in the house, and 2 of you are alive. You don't think that they were grilled and checked out and their hands weren't bagged off and taped and fingerprints and everything else, their phones looked at, everything. You got 2 people alive in the house and 4 people dead. I mean, that's the first time they're going to look at you. And she would be reporting if they would be in trouble for at least not reporting a crime if they had anything to do with it. What was that comment? If you're in a frat house, they probably don't call for help unless the house is on fire. Exactly. This is the thing. Xana and Ethan were under the age for drinking. They were underage for drinking. They probably thought they were, sick or whatever, and they didn't want to get themselves in trouble, and they didn't want to get Ethan and Xana in trouble with the school, in trouble with themselves, in trouble with their parents, in trouble with everyone. And that's why they called their friends first. I'm sure she was just hanging out, doing her nails while not calling the police, giving me a break. What does that mean? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, she's, I don't think a girl that's so young is going to sleep really well with knowing that there's literally blood coming out of the fucking walls right now. Literally coming down the walls. And you think that her and her friend, I mean, that is insulting. It is insulting to Dylan. It is insulting to Bethany. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you for sticking up for Dylan. There are 2 survivors to this story. You don't hear anyone talking about Bethany. People need to give Dylan some grace. More people need to lay off. We've only got 5% of the info of the affidavit. That's exactly right. We have 5%, if that. And my God, that affidavit says a lot. And that is only enough to get him arrested. 51% is what they need for a probable cause. Right? So give the 2 girls a break. Let me tell you something. Maddie, sorry, I'm so freaking upset right now. The kids, Ethan, Xana, Maddie, all of the girls, everyone in that house, they would not want anyone to be blamed, their friends to be blamed for something that they couldn't have helped. They would not want to be blamed for it. They wouldn't want their friends blamed if they didn't do it. Blame the killer. And let me tell you something. If you have a knife that's literally as big as this, as long as this 20-ounce Pepsi, right? And even if she called, by the time she called, right? Even if she did know, which she didn't, by the time she called, and by the time she would be halfway through her address, hi, I am at such and such, please call, please come here right now, they would have already been unconscious and almost completely dead. That knife is meant to kill. There is no other purpose for it. It is for protection. It is so sharp. I've got, I actually checked on exactly, I'll show it in my other live, actually what it's made out of, what kind of metals that it's made out of, how strong it is. It's extremely tough knife. On the other side, it's serrated and it is jagged, and it is meant to one stab wound, just one, and you are done. You're done. And the I don't know if it was the coroner said, it was in the upper chest region and all that. And if you got one, you are out in 4 to 8 seconds. And you don't have, yes, it can kill a bear. That's exactly right. It is meant for one thing. It's not meant for, peeling your potatoes. It's not meant for anything like that. It is meant to end a life. Just for all, need to show a knife fighting video demo. Is there such a thing as that? I don't know. Oh, Vet Girl, I missed you. I'm sorry. Let me see here. Thank you, Vet Girl. Justin, you cannot hang around a murder scene and not report it. If law enforcement thought there was an issue, those two roommates would be the next to the suspect in jail. That is exactly right. That is exactly right. That's exactly right. And here's another thing. Maybe, is it possible that he knew that 2 other people was in there and maybe he could blame it on them? He studied crime, right? He's supposed to be so smart. Who knows? But I think, I think he was very stealthy, and I think there may have been one scream, and that is kind of what spooked him. And one scream doesn't mean anything in that house. And it wasn't a long scream. I'll tell you that. It couldn't have been a long scream because they were disabled very quickly. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. Very kind of you. Man, I go to sleep listening to this story and I wake up listening to it. I'm in California. Never imagined this would after me so much. It's all I think about, to be quite honest with you. Maybe he left 2 roommates to make them look like the perp and not him. That's exactly right. You never know. You never know. But I can tell you that, yes, and by the way, that's true, April. You can buy, let me see if I can look it up. Amazon. Now, if you are, K-bar is, I'll show you what a K-bar knife is. You can buy them on Amazon right here. $87, $98. Now, the K-bar that they are, this is the style that they were more looking for. This one's $23. I mean, it's not an actual K-bar brand, but the one that they were looking for, it has the serrated edges on the other side, but it was more, I think, more like curved. But I mean, just imagine this razor. Look at the width, right? And then you have this tearing flesh on top. you're not going to live very long. 15 inches. 15 inches. That's insane. That is insane. And you think someone's going to live or be able to scream? No. I don't care where they stab you. Trust me. You're going to bleed out so fast with one stab wound, let alone over and over and over. It's just not going to work. I'm telling you. Let me ask this. Besides use for a fighting knife, K-bar was made for a fighting knife. The K-bar has proved useful as a utility knife for digging trenches and cutting wood, roots, wire, and cable. If you can dig a trench, with a K-bar knife, I don't know how long they said it was, to be honest with you. The one on Amazon I was looking at, it said 15 inches that I was looking at. I don't know. Bundy killed 2 and thought he killed 2 others in 15 minutes. Yeah. They estimate that the murders at 11:22 took about 14 minutes for 4 lives. 14 minutes. It's not judging. Fact, no help was called until noon, and something isn't right. It's inhumane, especially with wounded people in desperate need of attention. No way to sugarcoat that. Now, Wendy, okay. Now, do you actually think 4 of her friends got slaughtered enough that blood ran down literally the walls of the outside of the house? And she's like, deal with it tomorrow. Not today. Do you think that? Yeah, they can check Amazon purchases. Yeah. It's not going to happen. And even if one would, do you think the other girl there would have done that? No. Okay, thank you, April. Thank you. It's not going to happen. It's just not. I mean, if you can dig a trench with a knife, this knife was not meant to bend. It was not meant to break. It's not meant for anything like that. Yeah, I'm not going to allow, not on my platform, I'm not going to allow her to be blamed. I'm just not, because I don't know. I don't know. And CPR would have not helped them. Yeah, let me tell you something. And this is graphic, but sometimes I say things because I want to get through to the head. So trigger warning. Let me tell you something. Nothing would have helped him. I mean, it's literally like, you know, it's obviously it's not a cartoon, but it's like, you know, the holes you see in cartoons, like when we were kids, you know, our cartoons were violent, you know, Roadrunner jumping off the cliff and everything, but they had, you know, holes and they would drink a cup of water and water would shoot out everywhere or whatever. There was nothing. You could have had, you know, not a CPAP machine, a ventilator. It would not have saved them. It would not have saved them. It wouldn't have. It just wouldn't. I mean, the kids lost so much blood, it ran outside of the home. When is the last time you saw blood run outside of a home and down a wall? Oh, wait. Maybe he did CDM and the knife broke and he had no way to kill her. No, that knife didn't break. Those knives don't break. They don't break. And let me tell you something. If he saw her, she would not be here. She would not be here. I mean, listen, I worked for a funeral home. I've embalmed people before, okay? Trust me, I mean, it doesn't take long to bleed out. It just doesn't. And this is, I mean, I've never seen anybody bleed out with their heart pumping, maybe dead, with a machine pumping it out, but it doesn't take long. You had like something like 7 gallons of blood between them, all with their age, height, and weight approximately. Yes, Hollywood, many times. Yes, it's horrific. And to, yes, Laura. He suffered from visual snow syndrome, apparently. Very real chance she near even injured. So people's talked about this visual snow syndrome. I don't know what visual snow syndrome is. Like, if you're talking about like a migraine that makes you see like halos, sometimes called vision migraines, optical migraines, that kind of thing. Yay, Danielle. Thank you. Thank you, dear. Appreciate you. You're very sweet, Danielle. Thank you. You were and could attach it to the rifle to act. Yes. That is a different type of knife, though, that attaches to the end of the barrel, though. That's a different type of knife. Justin, I have a background as a... Oh, that's awesome, Elsie. Maybe I should have you up sometimes. I would appreciate it. She opened the door 3 times. He would have covered in blood, and she didn't warn anyone else to... And she doesn't warn anyone else in the house or call 911. She opened the door 3 times. Okay, she opened the door 3 times. Did she see him 3 times or did she see him once? Did she see him once or did she see him 3 times? And let me tell you something. If you're wearing all black, and there's blood, guess what? you still don't see the blood. You don't see blood. You don't see blood. I have seen victims be soaked, their shirt being black, right? Soaked, wring it out almost. You can't tell there's blood in there when it's black, let alone all of it being nighttime. To help remember a patron. I wonder if the dog bit him. I don't think the dog bit him. I don't think the dog would do that. No sheath equals she would have seen the knife. Well, there was a sheath. I think he forgot the sheath. And shock and everything. I mean, this is the thing. We don't know 90% still. And people are judging upon 5 and 10% of what they do know, or what they think they know. Not even what they know, what they think they know. Because we've read something, and that is each person's interpretation. And we still haven't, the police cannot talk about the affidavit even, or anything else, because they have a gag order. Now, if the gag order wasn't in place, that affidavit would be released. They would hold a conference and they would say, we could say, sir, what do you mean about she heard something, at this amount of time or whatever? And he would be like, oh, well, this is what, we meant by that, or she told us, or this or that. But they can't. There's a gag order, which leaves more people. I mean, people can say the gag orders are a good thing, but what it does essentially is lead to a lot of speculation and a lot of judgment. Yes, he left it upstairs. Why would he change the sheath getting lost instead of having it on his belt securely? I don't know. I think it was just kind of in his pocket or in his coat pocket. He didn't have it on his belt. I think he just had it like in his pocket, in his coat pocket, in the inner, pocket right here. This is a deep pocket in my jacket, tight up on him. And then he pulled it out. What if there's no DNA in his car? There's DNA in his car. I can tell you that. I can promise you that. They will find DNA. I don't care how good he cleaned it. The only way he can get rid of the DNA completely is if he burns it. And that they can still might, you never know, they can still might even muster it up. Jesse, I wondered that too. I'm like, I would like to see the asshole's face whenever he realized that sheath was not with him, which is kind of a screwed up thing to do. I wonder, and I think about this, did he go to the bathroom and like wash the knife? Which, they'll check the drains and everything like that. But, did he have multiple pairs of gloves on, right? And, did he wash the knife? But then, when you get ready to put it back in, did he just, like throw it in his pocket or hold it and walk down the street or whatever? No, Wilton, you're not blocked. That is when He shit. Okay. That is when he sheet his pants. I hope he sheets himself. What floor are the bathrooms on in the house? There's a bathroom on each floor, right? Yeah, I think there's a bathroom on each floor. Yeah, bathroom on every floor. Yeah. I've got the thing. If anybody wants to call in, I'll do this. I've got more stuff we'll talk about in a minute, but if anybody wants to call in, we'll see if we can make it work without my fancy equipment. This guy on TikTok, his name is Casey, Casey Little, Lytle. He is a psych instructor or something like that. Hold on. Let me draw it like this. 914.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you feeling?
I'm much better, thank you. Thank you for
I
asking.
just want to tell you, you're doing a great job.
Oh,
thank you. Really delicate case.
Thank you. I feel horrible for this poor girl who's getting blamed, and even if we don't know, right? Which we don't know everything. Why are we blaming this pick of Brian and wearing black mask? I don't think that's Brian wearing a black mask.
No, I believe you're absolutely right, because we don't know anything, and we only know what's being said, which are rumors.
Someone just emailed me this photo, guys. I don't think this is Brian, but it's someone wearing a black mask, right? Let me check his hand. That's not Brian's hands. I don't think that's Brian's hands whatsoever either. I don't think it's his eyebrows. I don't think it's not his eyes, because Brian's eyes are light colored.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
That's not Brian. But
I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's been, like you said, this poor girl is being blamed, and we don't know. We'll only know when the trial starts. However, they say that a 911 call was sent out, and then it wasn't located between 4:15 and 4:45
in the morning.
Yeah, of the day of the murder.
Well, I mean, it could have been from anywhere, though, anywhere in the county.
But they said within that area, that radius of the area. So who knows? She has her phone records, and we'll know in the future. And also with the sheets, I went to my brother. He has the same knife, which was really eerie. My stomach turned. And with the buttons, it goes around belt, and that button is difficult. I'm thinking upstairs during the struggle that the girls yanked it off of him to get him off. And when he went downstairs and did that, because the two downstairs had to be the final ones, because after that she left. She saw him leave.
Yes.
She saw him leave. So I'm thinking he didn't realize that the sheet was pulled off of him, because he's holding the knife until he gets to the car. Because my brother said he has to go to the car with the knife in his hand to protect himself, to kill anyone that gets in his way, to get away.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's.
And I wanted to tell you, it was so funny. I was dead asleep when Marissa's cell running that she was doing a live, and then I just put it on and something happened. It was super early. This was a couple of days ago. And she said, I heard that Jess is really sick, and he tells me he's half really hot and half really cold.
Yes.
And then my boyfriend rolls over and says, then tell him he's a mermaid.
That's funny. Like, when I was sick over the weekend, like, it was so weird. Like, my left arm, and like my left side felt cold and my right side felt hot. I've never had that feeling before, but it was just like so cold on one side.
I've never in my life heard someone explain themselves that way.
Yeah.
So when he said that out loud, my boyfriend says over and he says, "Oh, Kelly, you dress like a mermaid." So I was like, "Oh, that should be." And I said to myself, if I ever have the chance, you should make a hoodie with like a mermaid with curls. No, is that too much?
I don't know.
Are you going on the other channel? I know you're really involved in this, but we need some love and sunshine.
Yeah. I'm going to. I promise. I will.
Okay, I love you.
Love you too, darling. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye. Oops, I missed the call there. Might be my circulation. I don't know, but I was sick as a dog the other day. 647. Thank you for calling. Oh, sorry. 647. Are you there?
Again, I will be brief, and I'll try to speak clearly, just because the feed, like, I know you're not in your usual setup, so the phone calls aren't as crisp. But I shared this yesterday as to why I don't like talking, like the conjecture about the roommate makes me uncomfortable. So I like to go back to the information that was factually released, meaning, so just 2 points. One, it says she saw him in the affidavit. It doesn't say he saw her. And number two, do you have a link? You know that really interactive, I think it's a KOOLA, like KOOLA map? You know the one I'm talking about?
The interactive map of the house?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you go and look at the interactive map of the house, it shows the photos from like just after the crime. So what the crime scene looked like while they were processing it. And law enforcement would have to maintain the scene as was. They would have to preserve it. So lights would remain, like all the lights that were on would be on. The lights, you know, there's a picture of, I think it's Kaylee's bedroom with the TV saying no network detected. So if we go and look at those photos, you can see that the goodbye light is on, and it's actually, if we trace his supposed route based off of the affidavit, he went up those stairs and would have had that light shining in his face, right? And if DM was in her room and it says she went to sleep, it says in the affidavit she went to sleep. And I don't know about you guys, I sleep in the dark, I turn off my lights. So presumably I'm going to extrapolate from that, okay, her lights were probably off, reasonable assumption. So it's entirely possible that if she cracked the door and her room was dark and we know that room was really well lit, it's entirely possible he never saw her.
Sure.
And that's like, but yeah, I can see you're getting a little tired talking about it too. Like you're getting worn down about it.
Well, it's just like
So,
people are just, you know, just try to have a little compassion sometimes. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, they're so young.
No, I know it.
So
You're doing a great job.
Thank you, my dear. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you. But
And that's, you know, that's why I like to kind of like, for your sake and your sanity and the mods too. I think, you know, pulling up the information that we have, like, you know, that video was so interesting of the route, and the fact that the last ping was right where he would have turned right to head to the river, because he's an idiot. He would have taken the direct signage route.
Yes.
He would have been like, oh, this way to the river today. Like, this man, he can't, I don't even want to refer to him as a man.
Full of his own self.
This individual is not smart. He's like, oh, there's the sign. Like, I'm just absolute moron. So I look at all of his mistakes, but not even mistakes, his decision making was really stupid and flawed. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of bring it back to facts, because if we really want, we can take the facts, like I said, extrapolate and kind of go from there. But we're taking theories out of our or bums,
Right.
which I know you're really trying to avoid doing, as am I.
Right.
I think we can go back. We have 19 pages of facts.
Yes.
So we, like I said, we know she went to bed. So from that, we can kind of extrapolate that her life were most likely off. So that's all. Love you.
Love you too, dear. Thank you for
making my morning
calling.
always brighter, darling. And thank you, Mom. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much.
Have a great rest of your day.
You too,
Bye.
my love. Thank you. Travel Hop says, I wonder if Xana being awake, i.e. time of DoorDash, is ultimately what killed her and Ethan. Maybe she approached the stairs when she had him attacking MK, and that's why he... I mean, anything is possible. Anything is possible. Right? I mean, that DoorDash driver was literally in the midst of it all. I mean, by seconds, if anything. 615, thank you for calling.
Hello there. I agree with what you just said, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes, I was just wanting to throw into the mix, we are dealing most definitely with an aberrant mind. Brian Kohberger is not a healthy mind.
Definitely.
And he entered into a field of study, originally with psychology.
Yes.
To study, to study the human mind. And
to understand
he's
himself better,
looking
I
at
think.
it. Yes, I absolutely believe he was trying to understand himself, but I also believe he's trying to understand these others. He doesn't have a healthy mind. He's trying to understand, how are these other people functioning?
Right.
How are these other people making decisions, and why are these people responding to me the way that they are, and I don't understand?
Yes.
Okay, so he enters into this field of study, and he's never going to be able to completely understand it. It's like people who go and study, live amongst the wolves, so to speak, or live amongst, apes or gorillas, and they try to understand them, and they gain so much knowledge, but they're really never going to become one of them. They're never really going to understand it.
Right.
And so he continues along this path in his academic, and obviously he's very intelligent. Obviously he's offering something to the programs that he's in. He was recommended for the PhD.
Sure.
And stuff like that. So obviously he's doing well in at the very least regurgitating information that he's learned, but he's never going to understand it because of his deficit, his aberrant mind. And he's going to, how am I trying to say this? I feel like we see this confidence in him, in the fact that he decided to do these things. He planned this. I mean, we know that he was stalking them for a long period of time.
Yes.
And planned it and all that stuff. So I think that he had this extreme confidence because he didn't understand how law enforcement was going to interpret any of his moves. And I think that maybe some of the mistakes he made, yes, they could have been, in the frenzy of the moment and stuff like that. But I think that some of the mistakes he made because he didn't understand how healthy minds would interpret the things that he was doing, right?
Bingo.
Yeah, I'm going to drive this way. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to do these things. He didn't understand how a healthy mind would interpret that.
Yes.
He can only, we project who we are and how we think onto everyone around us. We all do it. I mean, it's just part of being a person.
Bingo.
But when you have a very severely, whether he's a sociopath or an antisocial, behavior disorder, we don't know. We haven't gotten a direct, diagnosis for him yet. But I can guarantee you one of those two, is going to be in the mix. And then you've got the narcissistic, we don't know which narcissistic personality disorder he has exactly. Someone will tell us all these things eventually.
Yes.
But this man has interpreted everything around him and planned everything around him based on who he is.
Yes.
And so that's why it's all screwed up. So
Right.
that's my 10 cents, my dear.
Well,
Love you. I hope you have a great day.
That's wonderful. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
That's he is a sick mind, and
Yeah.
he's judging based upon how he interprets things. And
Exactly.
you said it so well. You really couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah, I'll call again. Love you. Bye.
Love you too, honey. Bye bye. Yeah, I mean that is exactly, and that also goes for anyone. Well, if this happened, I would have done this. Well, maybe you would have, but maybe you also wouldn't have, because if you've never been in that situation, you don't know. And because you would do something doesn't mean the other person would do it the same way, or feel the same way. Everyone is different. He was really good at hiding, thinking he was very stoic. Yeah, it's crazy to think that this guy probably had a bright future ahead of him. Yeah, I mean, he just couldn't get out of his own way. He was scorned of something that happened, and this goes to show you, people, and things that happen in our childhood affect us psychologically for the rest of our life. That is when we can learn languages better. We can learn anything better. That is because it is impression in our minds. Our minds are still, pliable. They're still soft. They can still learn things. They're not hardened or ridged by, by the time we get older. And things that can happen that may not really, sit with, the girls that maybe bullied him just a couple times. Maybe they bullied him a couple times, but for him, it was so profound. It was so deep. It cut to the bone so much. And maybe the girls that bullied him, maybe they don't even remember it. Maybe they do remember it, but they didn't think it was like really that big of a deal to them. You know what I mean? You don't know how someone is going to perceive something. Just like, for instance, let's say Kaylee or Maddie said no. They weren't interested in Brian. Let's say, for instance, hypothetically, he asked them out or something. And the reason I'm saying that, and I'll show you right now, actually, is because of this guy. Is Robert, who had 4 classes with him. He said that Brian told him, kind of in some guy talk, that this guy could get any. Brian told this guy that he could get any woman he wanted to, right? And not be told no. It's very interesting that he would say something like this, because for some reason, Brian needs to be taken as this alpha male, when yet he is absolutely the 100% opposite of like an alpha male who feels like they can get any girl that they want to, that they're charming enough and all of that. Because Brian actually was not the life of the party, which is what all of his friends that known him, anyone that knows Brian, he was not the life of the party. And this Mr. Roberts here says Brian said he could find any girl he wanted. And that makes me wonder if he was ever told no, it hit his ego so deep that he could not recover from it somehow. It hurt him, where most of us would, it might hurt the ego just for a second or whatever, but we wouldn't obsess over, saying, you know what, I'm really not interested. Thank you for the offer of the date, or, liking me or being interested, but I'm not available or I'm not looking or anything like that, right? But for Brian, it seems like, why wouldn't any woman like me? I am everything. I am smart. He thinks he is bright. He is smart. He has a good personality when he actually has the personality of a shrimp, and he doesn't see that because of his own ego, his own self. Some people don't need an excuse. They will invent an excuse in their own mind. And that is exactly right, April. That is called them, rationalizing it, them in their mind, for them to believe that, not if the rejection was repeated over and over. Yeah, I mean, but that's precisely what I'm saying. If he is trying to make his friend say, hey, I can get any girl, but yet he's being rejected over and over and over again. And he feels like, why wouldn't they like me? I'm everything. I'm intelligent. I'm bright. He thinks he might be good looking. He thinks he's the package, all that in a bag of chips, so to say, right? But someone else may not feel that way about him, may not see him in that way. And he keeps getting rejected over and over, but he has to prove to his buddies that he is not getting rejected over and over, that he can still have any girl he wants, even though his confidence level is about this. His eyes were too creepy. I'd never go on a date with him. To me, his eyes are very cold. That's right, Justin. Courage stands up against bullies and contributes. The world doesn't span them. Exactly. The incels all feel this way. Yeah, that's they have some sort of being celibate. They they feel like they it's a very, incel wasn't even a definition until the last 10 years or something. It's very new, the term incel. It's probably always been out there, but the term hasn't been used just not very long at all. I know few narcissists, but one full-blown narc, they seem to be looking back into their own head instead of at you. Very strange. Absolutely. They are waiting, these type of people, they're waiting for your lips to stop moving so they can speak. They don't take it in, and if they do take it in, it is just to prove that that they can show that you are less than them. Somehow they can belittle you in some way. The evidence that we know about is solid enough to convict, in my opinion, because it stacks up. And that's exactly right, Mandy Who. It's not this one thing that will put him in jail. It is the levels of things that all stack up on each other. This phone was off at this time. He was in this area at this time. He went and threw this knife in the river at this time. And it is just these things that stack on each other over and over that build up this picture, the greater picture that will ultimately, hopefully, put him to death. The jury has And that's exactly right. It's up to the jury. It's not up to anyone else. Society contributes to their party, but to make connections on social media instead of real life. Apart from being a psychopath, murdering piece of scum, he's actually quite attractive. He's intelligent. He's physically healthy looking. What a shame. Screw up someone. Yeah, I mean, he just keeps detaching more and more from himself, from feeling like watching a movie, making people objects, rather no remorse and thoughts of murder. He finally did it. Yes, yeah. I don't think. I don't don't know. He definitely doesn't have any remorse, and he is certainly all about himself. And yes, incel, involuntary celibate. I talked about him maybe a week or so ago. He's the famous incel. His dad was on the Game of directed part of the Game of Thrones and all that. I forget his name. He, thought he was the most handsome thing, and his attitude was on par. What is his name? That's annoying the hell out of me. I'm horrible with names. But anyway, he was so arrogant. He couldn't even see his ridiculousness, how ridiculous he was. He would be in a conversation and he would be like, yeah, I wore this on the red carpet at my dad's, and Elliot, thank you. And it was just Elliot Roger, thank you. It's Elliot Rogers. And he would be like, I have a nice car and you have these, guys out there who are walking home, and yes. And that's the thing. You can be good looking, but if you have a crappy attitude, the good looking wears off real quick. You know what I mean? And I have seen like what I consider attractive person in a relationship, and I've seen the other person that I personally may not feel is as attractive, but they are a wonderful couple together, right? And it's just because it works for them. One's attractiveness doesn't mean, what one is attracted to, it doesn't mean the other person is attracted to, and you can really fall in love with them from who they are as a person. Usually it's the physical that first attracts you, but the emotional and everything after the physical leaves after a time anyways, as we age. I've known a lot of hot annoying chicks. You're funny, Jason. The heroin screwed up his mind. See, I don't think the heroin screwed up his mind personally, to be honest with you, because there's people that's I have a subscriber who done heroin for 30 years, and the other day they said it took a long time to get off of it and stuff, but your brain adjusts from the the addiction and all of that. What to me, the reason he was doing the drugs, the heroin, which why many addicts become addicts, is because there is some undiagnosed illness of the brain, depression, anxiety, OCD, many different things that a professional needs to diagnose, but they do it to self-medicate. the reason many people become addicts is they are not addressing either something, they're not addressing an issue in their life, or they're not addressing an illness, a mental illness, or a depression, or something is not, being addressed. And I think the drugs for him either got him out of his head, made him feel more confident, or chilled him out, and that is the reason. And there was a much bigger reason for everything going on with him. My kid's dad was bald-headed, no teeth, and walked with a limp. That's cool. Save Trump. Cool. Overthinking, obsessive, the addiction transferred from heroin to stalking and killing. And you are so right, HH, for many times when we become, we try to get clean, we will change one addiction for the other. Many of us become very fat once we, get clean. We gain a lot of weight, but it's, because we eat, we change something for something else, in place of it. When we've got to figure out the entire mind, trauma is the gateway drug. Yeah. Trauma is the gateway drug. I never done heroin, but I was on pain pills for years, and they gave me energy. And then I would slow down, been off since 2016. It became a problem. Good job, Fabrice. Thank you. That's awesome. I was, my 10th year clean was in September. So congratulations. I wonder if he has a screw up back too, because he did what kind of funny swing his leg around. I don't know, maybe it had a lot of pain. Do you mean Brian? We broke up because he had too many girlfriends. Yeah, Save Trump, having too many girlfriends when you're in a committed relationship, that tends to be a problem. So yeah. Thank you. He had no personality and no life in his eyes. 2L82, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I agree. Thank you, Charlotte Webbing. Thank you so much. Very kind. The drug dealer would contribute to the depression and poor self-image. Yeah, potentially. Whenever you get clean, forever how many years you are in active addiction, you really stop maturing at that age that you became addicted, and you really have to learn how to progress again. And not only that, the thing you really have to do when you become clean is you have to completely rebuild your new habits, your new life, your new routines, because that is honestly, like, that is when the rubber hits the road, whenever like you really are struggling. Once you have those withdrawals and everything out of the way, whenever you start rebuilding your life, your schedule, everything, that's when it's really, really hard. Elsie, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. That's right. You have to do the work. And it's the hardest thing, one of the hardest things you'll ever do in your life. Yes, peas in a pod, you're probably right. In this case, there have been mental issues that drive him to and symptoms got worse. Yes, he was self-medicating. Thursday next courtroom appearance in Latah County. Greg, it's been crazy because they've been like scheduling and then rescheduling. It's like, we just need a date and a time. They just keep, it is dodging bullets. They just keep, doing it on and off, on and off. We know why he's charged with burglary, because he physically broke in a house. And I don't know the statute of, burglary in Idaho. It could be, just fits under like a breaking and entering kind of thing, or do they know that he took something? They may know something that he took from that house. He took 4 lives, but I mean something of possession of worldly material kind of things. He intended to commit a felony when he broke in. Absolutely. What did I see you just say? Legal term for breaking in a dwelling to commit a felony. Okay. It is more than breaking and entering under the law of Idaho. Okay. It's felony burglary. It's because committing a crime. Okay, felony. Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Elsie. That explains it then. Gotcha. So the intent to commit a felony, how are the people asking about the burglary charge? He broke into a house, then committed a felony. So it's the crime being the murder. It's felony burglary. Burglary. I really have a really hard time saying that. It's because committed a crime. Okay, there we go. Because the charges matter, all charges matter. Absolutely. Charge him with everything. I don't give a crap. Charge him with everything. The most minute charge. If he did it, he needs charged with it. In my opinion. Okay, guys, I'm at 3 hours. I'm going to jump off of here. I will see you guys later this evening. I'll be live at probably 4, 5, 6-ish Eastern time, somewhere around there. I appreciate you. Do me a solid. Come on, we need to get the thumbs up. Let's get it up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Get it up. And if you hit the thumbs up button, you will have 1 year of good luck. And if you don't, 2 years of bad luck. I'm waiting. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate each of you. Thank you all. Please hit that thumbs up. And we will talk more about this later this evening. And I'm really not a supporter of the death penalty. However, if he was ever a reason for it, this is. Yeah. The nation is kind of 50-50 with the death penalty. So appreciate you. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you all. God bless each and every one of you. I will see you guys later today. Bye-bye.